pollo. Okay, it makes a Y sound. Pollo. Okay, although there's, oh my gosh, I'm mixing Spanish and English. I just moved to Mexico City about 4 months ago, so recently I've been doing it way more. Anyways, okay. Who cares? Would you like to know how to have a more authentic accent when speaking Spanish? Well, that is exactly what I'm going to teach you in today's video. But before we get into it, please give this video a like and also subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help me out a lot. Muchas gracias. A lot of times when people are learning Spanish, they overlook their accent when they first start. And this is a huge mistake. You may have had experiences where you speak Spanish to someone and they'll respond to you in English. It's frustrating, it's annoying, and you say, dude, why the heck are you not speaking to me in Spanish, right? Because at the end of the day, you are learning the language so you can communicate with other people, meet new people, yet these people that you're speaking to oftentimes respond in English. One of the biggest reasons that people do that is because they hear your accent. They say, clearly this guy doesn't speak good Spanish, so I'll just speak to him in English. But you can change that. How? Think about yourself when you were a baby. You spent the first 2 years of your life, more or less, just listening to your mother tongue. Then, eventually, you kind of started to sputter out a few words, a few phrases there, and eventually, you start to speak the language comfortably. But you spent the first 2 years of your life essentially just listening to the language. There is really something to be said there. Now, you as an adult have a huge advantage because your brain is more developed than a 1-year-old's or a 2-year-old's. So you can do different things, you can use different strategies in order to get that listening immersion. So one of my favorite ways, and something I always tell my students that they need to do, is to listen to music in Spanish. I don't care what music it is. The most important music is the music that you like, okay? I'll also say, if you're trying to learn a specific accent and pronunciation, well, then I recommend you listen to music from that country. If you want to learn a more Puerto Rican Spanish, well, listen to music from Puerto Rico. If you want to learn a more Mexican Spanish, listen to music from Mexico, because not only are you going to pick up on the accent and pronunciation, but you're also going to pick up on the slang. In addition to music, you can listen to things like podcasts. Podcasts are fantastic. Conversation between two native speakers or however many people, or also just by listening to people in real life. If you have Spanish-speaking friends or family, well, try to spend time around them so you can be getting that Spanish listening immersion. The second secret, if you will, to getting down your accent and pronunciation in Spanish is to study the alphabet. And unfortunately, so many students say to me, Nate, I know how to speak the language, I'm not going to study the alphabet. That is literally the easiest thing you could ever do in a language. And this is a huge mistake because oftentimes, unfortunately, we are confronted by our egos in the language learning journey, which is why many of us are unconfident and nervous because our egos get in the way. I'm telling you, you're making a huge mistake. I always tell students, build your house on rock and not sand. You not studying the alphabet and the vowel sounds and all those great things is like you building your house on sand. You're going to get to the more advanced things, and who cares, because your accent is still going to sound amateur and it's going to sound bad, and people are going to speak to you in English instead of in Spanish. The most important letters in the entire alphabet are the vowels, okay? Now, the vowels in Spanish are the exact same as they are in English, A, E, I, O, U, but they do have a different pronunciation. So in Spanish, we have A, E, I, O, U, okay? Study those, get those down. Now, of course, we have other different sounds in the alphabet, like doble L, okay? So that makes a Y sound. For example, in the word pollo, okay, it makes a Y sound. Pollo, okay? Although there's, oh my gosh, I'm mixing Spanish and English. I just moved to Mexico City about 4 months ago, so recently I've been doing it way more. Anyways, okay. Who cares? Pollo, it makes that Y sound. Now, in certain countries, for example, you might hear pollo, okay? Like Argentina, they might say pollo en vez de pollo. Oh my gosh, I'm really switching the Spanish and English right now. It's really funny. Now, you also have rolling of the R's, doble R. A lot of students cannot roll their R's, okay? Now, I recommend you Google how to roll your R's in Spanish. I've made a video on this in my Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy on my website, SpanishNate.com. Recently, I went to Morelia, Michoacan, here in Mexico, and I met my friend's cousin, and she couldn't roll her R's. She was a native Mexican Spanish speaker. Don't feel bad if you can't roll your R's. Practice, practice, practice. Do some exercises. Look things up online, and the more and more you do it, more and more you try, eventually, you should be able to roll your R's. If you want to become conversationally fluent in Spanish as fast as possible, check out the Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Here's what some of our current members have to say. One of my students, Jody, who's learning Spanish to better communicate with her Mexican husband, says, "Why not attempt learning with Nate? Surely he could give me some good advice since he was in my position at one point before." I look back to where I was and where I am now, and we've made great progress. And if you're reading this, let go of the doubts and join his course. We stand behind our program with a 30-day full refund policy. If you're not happy within 30 days, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. To find out if the academy is right for you, click the link on the screen or in the description below. We also have ñ in Spanish, which is the N with the little accent mark over it, ñ, which makes kind of an N and a Y sound put together. So español. Okay, it's imagine an N and a Y put together. Español. Okay, it's not español, español. Okay, very important to understand because if you say año, that means year, but if you say ano, that means anus. So just be aware of that. Also, we have B and V in Spanish. Okay, a lot of people mess this up. B and V make the same exact sound. Okay, they both make a B sound. I will say that sometimes the V, if it's at the beginning of a word, will have the more V sound. But 99% of the time, B and V make the same exact sound. Okay, so basketball, okay, and volar, okay, volar, meaning to fly. For example, with the V, it's not this super hard volar, okay, but it is just it's kind of a soft B, volar. It makes an S sound. Zapatos, okay, that's wrong. It's zapatos. Z's make the S sound in Spanish. The next thing is to speak. Speak. It's one thing to be listening to the language and studying the language. By speaking, this is how you get better at your accent and pronunciation. Students oftentimes come to me and they say, "Nate, I'm really struggling with speaking to people in Spanish, but I can't figure out why." And I say, "Great. How often are you speaking?" And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't really speak Spanish. I don't really speak that much. I'm nervous. I'm embarrassed, so I just don't really speak. This is a huge mistake, okay? Nervousness and embarrassment is a whole other topic, and I made videos about it here on this channel, so make sure to subscribe. You got to be speaking the language if you want to improve your accent and pronunciation. So when you can tie in these ideas of listening, and studying the alphabet and the vowel sounds and everything, and then speaking, all you got to do is just do those three things. And then with time, your accent will get better. My accent and pronunciation got way better once I started listening to music every single day in Spanish. In fact, a lot of the times people think that I am from the north of Mexico. They think I'm Mexican, genuinely, because a lot of the audio that I consume in Spanish is from the north of Mexico. Where are you from? Because you sound like you're from like Monterrey or something like that. I say, "Oh no, I'm from California. I learned Spanish in school, but I love music from the north, whatever." So you can imagine, oh my gosh, if people genuinely believe me to be Mexican, then you can do it too. And the things that I'm telling you are the exact same things that I did. I always tell students there are kind of three main pillars to learning the language. Say the grammar, speak, and listen. If you can just do those three things and do it consistently, you are going to learn the language. All you have to do is just show up and do the work on a daily basis. If you can do that, you're going to learn Spanish and you're going to have a fantastic accent as long as you do what I'm telling you to do. Try to imitate people, okay? Don't feel weird or uncomfortable being like, "Well, I don't want to seem disrespectful." You're not going to seem disrespectful, okay? When I speak Spanish to people, do they think I'm being disrespectful because I have a really good accent? No. The reason I got a good accent is by doing all these things and trying to imitate people, hearing the sounds and being like, "Cool, all right, let's replicate this sound." Like something I realize is, wow, a lot of times I hear Mexican Spanish speakers rolling their R's when the R is at the end of a word or in the middle of a word. So for example, instead of saying hablar, kind of like soft, is hablar, right? There's more of a roll, hablar. So just by hearing those things and being like, "Cool, all right, I'm going to imitate this. I'm going to try and put this into play into my own Spanish." And as time goes on, you're only going to get better. You can always get better and you can always learn something new. I have been learning Spanish for 9 years now, and I still consider myself to be learning. Obviously, I speak the language well. I can talk, about whatever with whoever. But if you have the mindset of, well, I think after a year, I'm going to become fluent and it's going to be great and life's going to be great. Well, forget that. Who cares? You're always going to be able to get better, okay? You need to have the growth mindset instead of the fixed mindset. Forget your high horse and being like, oh man, my Spanish is great. I'm the best, right? You don't want to be like me. No, I'm just kidding. Not only are you going to have fun learning the language, but you're also not going to burn yourself out. You're going to be able to keep it sustainable and you're going to be able to learn the language and speak it beautifully. Those are my tips for you. Muchas gracias por ver este episodio. Si tú quieres aprender más español conmigo, puedes en mi página web SpanishWithNate.com. Yo honestamente me enfoco más en un español mexicano, pero ahí puedes aprender un español hermoso. Muchas gracias, cuídate mucho y nos vemos en el próximo video. Adiós.